Internet friends. We're doing another weekly wrap-up video today because so much weirdness has happened this week that I can't really seem to focus on a topic, so we're just going to tackle them all. Why not? Let's do an update on BRICS and the US dollar. If you're unfamiliar with this acronym, don't worry, you're not alone. The US media isn't really talking about this, but basically it boils down to this. Former Goldman Sachs chief economist Jim O'Neill coined the BRIC acronym back in 2001. BRIC stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. BRICS are the emerging leading economies of what's been coined the Great Reset that are supposed to dominate the world by 2050. And BRICS countries are working on creating a new currency allegedly backed in gold. In other words, they're doing trade without the petrodollar, which is big news because for the last handful of decades, more than a handful really, the petrodollar has been the default currency for international trade. And of course, the petrodollar is used as political leverage on the global stage, which is why the dollar has historically been very strong and fairly stable. But BRICS has the potential, to give us a run for our money. No pun intended. Among the countries who have shown interest in joining BRICS include Algeria, Argentina, Bahrain, Egypt, Indonesia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Afghanistan, Mexico, Turkey, Syria, Venezuela. You get the picture. A lot of folks want to join BRICS. A lot of countries that we trade with want to join BRICS and ditch the petrodollar. Just this week, Egypt has officially applied to join BRICS and reported today, around 20 more countries have applied to join. And I'm reading here, according to French media reports, French President Macron has asked South African president for an invitation to the BRICS summit scheduled for August. Keep in mind that Macron is a Rothschild banking stooge, so does that mean France will become the first European country to join BRICS? And if we take this full circle, if we back up and look at the full picture, the WEF, the World Economic Forum, predicted this in 2016. So it's all part of the plan. There are predictions for 2030. They said that America will no longer be a superpower. How would they accomplish such a thing? Well, they would end dollar dominance, which the Fed sucks, don't get me wrong. But verbatim, they said American dominance will be over, which sounds like a threat to me. I have a segment that I guess I'm going to have to save until next time because I can't find the clip, but have y'all seen all these new angles of 9/11, this unseen footage coming out? I've watched 2 or 3 videos just this week that I've never laid eyes on before. And I wanted to show one in this video, but of course I can't find it now. It was someone filming from a window beside the Twin Towers, watching all the people run out of the towers before they collapsed. And this doesn't just have to do with 9/11 clips, but are these clips real? Or with the advent of AI, can they just be created? Because I think that NVIDIA, that company NVIDIA is one of the companies that has proven they can create these video scenarios just basically from nothing. But if they are indeed real, if these clips are indeed real, why are they being released now? I also wanted to show this video that the White House shared on June 12th.
These are our kids. These are our neighbors. Not somebody else's kids, they're all our kids. And our children are the kite strings that hold our national ambitions aloft. It matters a great deal how we treat everyone in this country. LGBTQ Americans, especially children, you're loved, you're heard, and this administration has your back.
Did you catch the first sentence? These are our kids. The government saying these are our kids. Even Elon Musk replied, "You are the government. They are not your kids." Kids is such a complicated term. I really try to avoid using it now that I'm aware that language does hold some intrinsic power on some sort of level. At least to them. The definition of a kid is a baby goat, which no satanic ritual is complete without. I went down a whole rabbit hole with this a few years ago about the Finders cult, an underground cult in Washington, D.C., which we can all pretty much just say now. It was a CIA cult, and they were investigated for allegedly trafficking children. But, of course, the investigation was ultimately dropped. But among the evidence that they found were pictures of children in robes and pictures of children pulling baby goats out of the deceased goat mother's womb, which is horrible. Let me change the topic. Anyways, I am done arguing with folks on whether they're targeting your children. I will not fight with you on this. You're dumb if you think they're not targeting your children. Yes, they are. They are targeting your children. And it's nothing where you can just kind of be like, oh, well, as long as it doesn't affect me and they're not hurting anyone. No. I want to slap you out of your fluoride stupor if you start this argument with me. You need to wake up. You can call me a bigot, comment, write your thesis on the keyboard, whatever, until you're blue in the face. I will not budge. It wasn't enough for the drag queens to read at the library to the toddlers. Now they're hosting LGBT events at the elementary schools. And thankfully, some parents are protesting it. I mean, we could get into this discussion about whether or not they're trying to create a divide. They're trying to get us to, like, civil war with each other. We can discuss that. That's another discussion for another day. You can reply in the comments, but here's the clip.
There's probably about a couple dozen on both sides of the aisle here. You have the LGBTQ members promoting Pride Month recognition in our schools, and then you have the parents protesting that. And the real challenge here at the Sataskoy School in San Fernando Valley on Ethel Avenue is to keep the two parties away from each other. This video we shot just a few moments ago, and you can see it got pretty heated. They are both trenched in, both sides in this diversion, or this situation, I should say, is pretty heated. We'll come back out to a live shot. LAPD has come in force now. They set up a skirmish line trying to keep it.
This is great for someone like me because obviously I cover so many different things on this channel, and sometimes I want to reference things, but Google is not a credible source of information at all. What I've found lately is when you type something in on Google, the answer will always be some form of leftist propaganda. But now I don't have to rely on these stupid search engines because I have this book written by an author that I will say this now, I class Grace as an actual credible source of information. After watching her videos, she covers so many topics that I know and have researched myself, and you can tell from her findings that she has done extensive research, as I say.
The White House hosted a Pride event this week, and here's how it went.
Welcome to the White House.
Thank you.
Happy Pride Year. Happy Pride Life.
Yeah.
Transgender children.
You are beautiful.
You are heard.
You belong.
You are understood.
You are loved.
And you belong.
Can we take a little video? Hi, Mr. President. It is an honor. Trans rights are human rights. Oh, it's a video.
Are we topless at the White House?
Imagine the lives that have been lost from endless war, sacrifice used as pawns on the global chessboard. Children who never got to see their fathers ever again, parents who would never have another chance to hug their child, lives ruined, vets who return home and they have so much PTSD that they can't function in society and there's no real help for them. They paid this ultimate price under the false pretense that they were spreading democracy and their sacrifice would ultimately benefit the families and citizens of this country. And this is what the White House does. This is who the White House honors. This is who gets a month of celebration. And you can't tell me it's not all scripted because how many Secret Service agents around there are staring at the man titties as they're exposed? Letting it happen, letting it be filmed. I don't care that the creature was banned from the White House in the aftermath. Yuri Bezmenov was a prophet, and it's times like these when I really miss Jeff C., who was before his time on all the LGBT, XYZ, ABC, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 agenda. He would absolutely drag and expose the people behind this agenda daily for years. He would have had a field day with Pride Month 2023, and I always wonder what Jeff would have said about these sort of things. Okay, I need an intermission from all the doom and gloom right now from watching the world burn, and I figure we should go take a walk around the garden. I'll give you a little garden tour. We can talk about what's growing and what's not. I've been on a trip for the last week, and then when I returned, it was raining, so haven't been able to get out there and weed eat or, pick a lot of weeds. So this is not an Instagram ready sort of thing. This is real life. Okay, and speaking of Instagram ready, I get comments, why are you using a filter in your videos? This is not a filter. This is a webcam on my laptop. I don't know what you want me to say. Okay, it's just bad quality. It's not a filter anyway. Okay, bye. Okay, so I'll probably put a screenshot of the tweet I took or I posted earlier this year where I was saying I wanted to make this area over here a Hobbit garden, Hobbit inspired garden, very cute. And my husband and my dad were like, okay, well, we'll come over and cut this tree down, this tree right here that was blocking all the light for a vegetable garden. And they seemed pretty confident they could do it without, any damage to the house, whatever. But it fell the opposite way and took out the power lines. And after all that, it still isn't enough light for a vegetable garden. So I'm going to have several trees taken down to get this to happen. And it's not going to happen this year. But it's still a great area. And I was noticing, well, I can't grow squash to save my life, but if one just happens to volunteer somewhere, it grows fine. How does this, weeds everywhere? How does this work? I'll show you the figs. The figs got a late start this year. I don't do anything to these figs. They were here when we bought the property. But they're looking strong. Also, this is actually a black walnut tree. You can do all sorts of things with black walnuts. I've got my bed of snapdragons and herbs and water for the bees over here. More herbs, lavender, catnip, parsley. Salvia, oregano, maybe that's sage. The turtle guards all the seedlings and plant starts. I have echinacea over here. And we're getting into the vegetable garden, and I want you to listen to something, because for every plant that is a success, like these black cherry tomatoes, we have one that is just suffering, okay? I'm not a great gardener. I just plant a lot of plants. And did you know you could take the suckers from a tomato and just put them in soil, water them real good, and they make another tomato. So you have tomatoes all season long. Again, a case of I don't have a green thumb. I just plant several and hope for success. One success, one failure. Another bed of tomatoes. I have some seedlings starting here. I can't remember what I started because I fully do the whole chaos gardening thing. I don't remember it. Okay, so I've got marigolds interplanted with the tomatoes because it's nature's pest control when you companion plant like that. And I just deadhead the marigolds right in the bed, hoping that they'll reseed. Another bed. I have some summer slow bolt lettuce over here that I just started. I'm trying to deter cats with all these things in my beds because they want to use it as a litter box, which is absolutely disgusting. This is Swiss chard, basil, some heirloom tomatoes. Again, interplanted with marigolds. We've got an Italian eggplant, and this is a garden huckleberry, which I started from seed. And oh, the reason why they are planted together is because when they were seedlings, they looked exactly alike because they're both in the nightshade family. I absolutely love this garden huckleberry though, because you do nothing to it and it's so happy. It attracts all the pests and keeps the other pests off of the other plants. Here's a bed of purple whole peas and random gladiolas. And here is the bed of strawberries. And you can see some strawberries hiding back there. I've got raspberries in here alongside some pepper plants and garden huckleberry. We make our way over here, more marigolds, gladiola, kale in the back, more garden huckleberry, a tomato, and eggplant. And then I have salvia. This is echinacea and blue sage. These are my favorites. Rosemary, salvia, and this is it hasn't bloomed yet, but this is what is it? Sea holly, random. I've got 2 of those growing. Interplanted with what was here before, which was, what are these? They are hellebore. They're not liking the sun right now, so they look a little sad. Then I've just got random herbs throughout the entire landscape. I forgot to show you my area of blueberries and fruit trees. This one is a native plum tree, native to Georgia. Here are my blueberries. Blueberries didn't get the memo this year. This was their first full year, so I think that's why. This one is one I got from Fast Growing Trees. It's a plant that both produces 2 types of plums, I think. Here's the rest of my blueberries. Okay, I also did a video this week about how this new California bill written by Senator Scott Wiener, who is like a 6'7" Nephilim gay guy who decriminalized the act of knowingly giving people HIV. Some of y'all don't like it when I show videos that I've already posted in these wrap-ups, but what do y'all want me to do? YouTube doesn't send my notifications out. My videos aren't suggested. Like the majority of the time they're demonetized. I have almost 400,000 subscribers and only 40,000 of y'all see the video. So I gotta do what I gotta do. Roll the clip. Hey internet friends. Today we're just checking in on our internet friends in California to see how y'all are doing over there. Because a California bill would consider parents' reluctance to affirm their child's gender identification as a breach of health, safety, and welfare in custody disputes, labeling parents who refuse to acknowledge the gender of their own child as abusive and might lead to the loss of custody. In other words, your children don't belong to you, they're property of the state. This bill, which passed the state assembly, would compel judges to favor the parent who affirms their transgender child's identification. The authors of this bill submitted an amended version this week that expressly defines the health, safety, and welfare of a child to include a parent's affirmation of the child's gender identity, a modification that bill opponents say would open the door to non-affirmation being viewed as abuse. If you want to look it up for yourself, this bill is AB 957, and it's the latest attempt to legalize gender ideology in California. Democrat Senator Scott Wiener, and of course his last name is Wiener. That is perfect. Perfect 10 out of 10 script writing. Yeah, anyway, Scott wrote a similar bill with Assemblywoman Lori Wilson, which required foster parents to affirm trans-identifying children. Wiener proposed making California a haven for out-of-state teens seeking sex modifications without parental approval in 2020. I mean, can you imagine? Do you remember being a child and doing the stupidest stuff ever? Me personally, I wanted a perm in 5th grade. My mom let me get one after months of convincing, but it never took, thank God. Later, I wanted to shop at Hot Topic. Back when it was edgy, she didn't let me shop at Hot Topic, not really. And of course, I wanted a belly button ring when I was like 14 years old, and she never let me get one. It was just the current fad, what was being shown on TV through pop culture, music, movies, television. And now we all look back and cringe at how dumb we looked. Now being gender nonconforming and whatever else is the current fad, and without intervention, most children will just grow out of it. Look back and pray that everyone in their immediate family and social circle just conveniently forgets that chapter of their life. But no, we have pop culture and politicians who are trying to make this the norm, and surgery and hormone therapy are irreversibly mutilating children's bodies. There is no going back after you become Frankenstein at age 8. These things are irreversible, and children are too young to understand these ramifications. Children should have role models and grown-ups safeguarding them. But instead, we have this trend of mentally ill and cruel abusers who promote and commit these atrocities on children who don't know any better. For example, 51 California Democrats supported AB 957. But the bill's latest amendments were released on Tuesday before its first Senate committee hearing next week. Critics of this bill were concerned over the language and how it could lead to abuse accusations and further down the line lead to loss of custody of your child. And I'm right there with you. This law will be a total proclamation of complete authoritarian control if it's passed and ultimately upheld by the Supreme Court. And I know there will be some comments that will be just dismissive and say, oh, that's California for you. But when I read about things happening in California, I know it's just the testing ground for what they intend to happen everywhere. California is just 5 years ahead of everybody else, and while this particular bill is just for custody disputes, it paves the way for new bills to be introduced, maybe one that would allow child protective services to show up at your house and kidnap your child for misgendering them. I sincerely hope it does not get to that point, but I can read the room here. I get comments that say I'm playing the right-left paradigm when I point out that Democrats are passing certain legislation, creating literal Sodom and Gomorrah conditions, burning down cities. But no, I equally despise Republicans because they do nothing. They allow it to happen. All while collecting an exorbitant amount of taxes claiming to be conservatives. I don't like them either. Our whole system we have here, which is broken. It's a broken system. This system is a kick the can down the road system. Sit and wait until your next election/selection for something to happen or to change. And it won't change ever. Never. For the benefit of the citizen. For the benefit of our children. It just won't. Which brings me to the next part of this video. Let's take a look at Scott Wiener. Wiener. What's motivating him?
So proud of Sister Roma and her work in the community, and I'm proud of California for standing strong to support LGBTQ people as our community is under assault in the rest of the country.
Scott Wiener's early life Wikipedia entry is very predictable. He's apparently of no relation to Anthony Weiner, but I wouldn't want to see the browser history on either of their laptops. As recently as last week, Wiener is pictured at the Capitol with drag queens, including a drag queen named Sister Roma, who is a gay pornographer, as in someone who makes adult gay films dressed as a woman at the Capitol, at the state capitol. Sometimes I just wonder, what would our founding fathers say? What would they say? As a gay man himself, Scott Wiener was co-author of Senate Bill 239, which reduced the crime of intentionally exposing someone to HIV from a felony to a misdemeanor. Great work, Wiener. Wiener himself has been open about his choice to take an anti-HIV drug daily. This drug is called Truvada or PrEP. So one can assume a couple of things about Wiener. He's on the Big Pharma payroll because he's constantly doing interviews about taking this drug, which is made by Gilead. Or you could also assume he has a very active and open sex life. Or you could assume both. Additionally, Governor Newsom signed Bill SB 145 into law in 2020, which Wiener supported. And as a result, automatic sex offender registry rules for some adults who engaged in sex acts with minors were abolished by the statute. This isn't all Wiener has accomplished during his time in the Senate, but this was simply a highlight reel in the face of criticism for his extreme policies targeting children. Scott Wiener claimed that he got a bomb threat that was directed at his house and workplace. Wiener claimed that the threat was made by MAGA conspiracy theorists who were hateful of LGBTXYZ ABC rainbow rights. The threat called him a pedo and a groomer, and he's since gone on a crusade against anyone who uses the term groomer. When asked about the threat, Wiener said, quote, "Tragically, I get a lot of death threats, and I have for several years. And they're now starting again with all of the right-wing attacks on me. This extremist homophobic rhetoric online has consequences, and sometimes people act. So it's just a really dangerous situation," end quote. I tried my best, y'all. I tried my best to see if anyone was ever arrested for making threats against him, but there were, sadly, no updates. Even though the news media reliably never followed up on this story, the whole thing was revealed to be a hoax. Wiener claimed he got the threats via voicemail on his iPhone and showed the transcript in a Twitter screenshot. Y'all, if you've ever seen a transcripted voicemail on iPhone, there's no cursor. There is no cursor. It ain't a Word document, like you're actively typing it out, which Wiener was in this screenshot. The boy who cried wolf. I personally think these legislators do far more harm to the people they claim they are protecting. Far more harm than any MAGA conspiracy theorist could ever dream of. All you need to do is just look at their fruit. As recently as this past week, bringing pornographers to the Capitol like they're some kind of great class of citizen who needs to be celebrated. Reducing the sentences for actual criminal activity towards civilians and children. Empowering sexual offenders. Yeah, all that gives the gay community a pretty bad rap when you're carrying their banner, Wiener. What do you think of this bill, internet friends? Sorry that I laughed all the way through this. I might cut out my laughter, but it's Joker laughter at this point because we're just watching the world burn. It's clown world, and every day gets more ridiculous, so I can't contain my laughter. Sorry about California. I think California is like one of the most beautiful states. I hate to see it crash and burn in such a way under the weight of Wiener and Gavin Newsom, George Soros, etc. We just laugh so we don't cry, okay? I know a lot more has happened this week, but I'm saving all my Donald Trump commentary for later. If I missed anything else, let me know in the comments. I only have a babysitter until maybe 4 o'clock, so it's 2 o'clock now. I gotta wrap this up. I hope y'all are having a great day. You know, I always look forward to your comments. Thank you so much for watching, subscribing, supporting my channel on Patreon, and purchasing my book, The Deep State Encyclopedia. Bye.
What difference at this point does it make?
Those weapons of mass destruction got to be somewhere. Nope, no weapons over there.
We should not argue in the context of yesterday. We should really first analyze how the world has dramatically changed and is changing in an accelerating way.
I call upon all nations to do everything they can to stop these terrorist killers. Thank you. Now watch this drive.
Something that I'm breathing, telling me to sleep in. Fix behind my lids like nothing gets done. truth, swallow it like who knew. Marching to the drums like pa 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 pa. Sliding by the beaches, gotta have a secret. Life is plain peaches, tell nobody my secret. Drowning at the teaching, gotta have a secret. I'm just a fake silhouette, avoiding every threat. I wanna stay like a silhouette, but I can't do that. No, 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 I can't do that.